Hello guys, how are you? Today we are you guys have probably seen my other video on the studio shed process. That was a smaller 10 by 12 that's unpermitted. And obviously we're doing a lot more larger projects, ADU projects, just larger backyard offices and hangout spots, pool houses, all that stuff. We're talking about sheds that are on the sides of hills and stuff like that, anything with an engineered foundation. So, any project that you are going to be permitting, um, pretty much the anything over the 10 by 12s is supposed to be permitted. And if you run an electrical to the 10 by 12s, you're also supposed to get a permit. Um, so you are most likely going to be involved in the permitting process. And so just want to do a video alone just on building studio shed with the permitted process. Now, everything that you saw in the other video is not changing, okay? So it's the same process going up. Gets delivered, we put the walls up, we put the roof on, we get all the siding, doors in, it's all dried in and waterproofed, and then we're off to the interior aspect of the project. Now, the permitting process really changes. It's all the upfront work, okay? Um, that is really going to be what's a pain and is going to be time consuming, is going to be going through the planning process and getting approved. It's not that you won't get approved, especially if you're under 650 square feet. If you're under 650 square feet, the city, county, state, whoever cannot say no to the project. They have to allow the project to happen. So you're not going to get stopped. It's just because these building departments are very understaffed right now. Just like everybody has talked about, you see it in the news. There's not a lot of workers. The city of Santa Rosa right now has two inspectors for the entire city, and they have two plan checkers. Okay, so that means anytime I'm doing work in Santa Rosa, this stuff is very delayed. Now, that is the reason why this is going to be a longer process. In Santa Rosa, I had a 12 by 16 art studio, only electrical going to it. It took me 1 year to get the permit. That is correct. It took me 1 year to get the permit. And because of inspections and everything, yeah, we're looking at a year and a half to get a 12 by 16 shed up. I did an unpermitted 12 by 20, and I had it delivered on October 3rd, and it was ready for move in on October 23rd. So in 20 days. All right. Now, some jurisdictions are better on inspections and they get out there quickly, but in the long run, you're just going to have to see how responsive your city or county is. So that was a long intro. Let's get through this here. The first thing in your permitting, before you even start this, make sure that your your budget is in line with this, okay? Because if you're going to go into all this work and stuff, you don't want it to be a problem down the line. Make sure that this entire project is going to be in budget, and you could possibly, if you have to, spend a little more because it depends. It's a lot of stuff. When you get the city involved, they may ask for things. Some things may come up that you don't really expect, okay? So, understand that your budget may have to change. First, too, is check local building laws, and I don't really mean building laws. I mean more environmental stuff. So heritage oaks, heritage redwoods, watersheds, fire zones, stuff like that. That if you're in a fire zone, we have to do a Class A roof. If you're in a fire zone, we have to do sealed soffits, or we have to do Vulcan vents, right? So things change. If you're near a watershed, you may have to have a distance from that watershed. You know what I mean? You might not be able to build up as close as you want. And then also with the heritage oaks and the redwoods, like the heritage oaks down at San Jose in the South Bay, stuff like that, Oakland, you cannot take them down. Okay, if you want them trimmed, they have to be approved. It's a big pain. So if you have something like that in the backyard, we're gonna have to work around roots. Like we've had to use air spades before, and stuff like that to get foundations in, so that the trees are not harmed. And then also just knowing if you're in the city or the county. Cities are usually a little bit faster because they have a higher turnover of projects. Counties are usually a little bit slower, but again, that is all up to your specific city or county. All right, everyone is different. So the first thing you're going to have to submit your plans. Studio Shed will have all of the interior plans, structural plans, framing plans, all that stuff for the city that they like, all the engineering done, all that stuff. But you'll have to, or you can hire your Studio Shed installer. If it's me, you can hire me, to get a site plan. So they have to know exactly where this structure, what the structure is, and exactly where it's going to go. Right in this site plan, you could see that we have all the measurements off the fence, off of the house, from the street. We have marked out the electrical line. There is a drainage swale here that is marked out. Okay, and then they have the condenser for the AC unit. They have the electrical panel. This is that 12 by 16 art studio in Santa Rosa I was talking to you about. It took me forever to get the permit. Maybe I'll throw some photos in here of it, as we go through. So this is showing everything that is going on in the project and exactly where it's going to be placed. And you have to be, I mean, again, some inspectors are a little bit lenient, but like this easement right here is maximum, right? We can't go any back further, or we would be past the 5 foot mark. And if you were to do that, then you would have to move the shed or something. That would be a major problem. So you have to make sure you are on your measurements. Once this is set and once this is approved, you're not moving this, okay? Because you will not pass you will not pass your foundation inspection most likely if you have a smart inspector. And you have to put it in that location. So that's the site plan. Just marking out exactly what's going on so that the city knows where everything is. Now, engineering requirements. If you are on a flat graded um, site, which a lot of people are, in all honesty, except when I'm doing stuff in Marin County and everything, but a lot of people in the South Bay and a little bit further up north in Sonoma, there are pretty flat land. So there's not much grading. And with that, we can just use the spec foundation from Studio Shed that already has the engineering and all that stuff, and we don't have to worry. Now, if you're on a hillside or you have a heritage oak or whatever, and you have to have a special foundation, right? An engineered foundation, either, I have one in Muir Beach right now. We're designing a pier foundation. Have these concrete piers coming up with hangers, and we got a whole design there. So, if you need that type of foundation design, you are going to need special engineering with it. Now, that might include adding hold downs and stuff like that in the shed all the way down to the foundation concrete. Again, you will have to go over it with your installer, contractor, engineer, etc. And again, Studio Shed can walk you through a little bit of these processes and stuff like that. Um, and stuff. But again, on this side, they are not doing the engineering because they're not there on site, they're not local. So it can be tough. The engineering of the sheds, no problem, but the engineering of the foundations has to be a little bit more personal and a little bit more in depth. Now, preparation and submittal of plans. So Studio Shed will prepare all their plans and stuff for city and county submittal. So everything that has to do with the shed, all the engineering of the shed, it'll show all the framing, the floor plan, um, everything that the city will need from Studio Sheds. And then you will connect your site plan, all your foundation engineering, anything extra that's going in the project. Like say you have a deck or something, so all your deck engineering, all that stuff will go. all in one plan. Okay, don't leave anything out. Don't leave any info out. You'd rather be going to the city or county with more info than is needed. That's what they like. What they don't like is you not having all the information, you not having the answers that they want, them not being able to see something that they want to see. Go there with every little thing. I mean, placements of the plants, whatever you got to do, go as in depth on the information as possible. Santa Rosa maybe do load calculations. So we're talking about electrical load calculations. That's what I mean. Electrical load calculations. We have a 50 amp sub panel on a 200 amp service. Everybody knows in the world that it's got enough load capacity, but I have to prove mathematically the load capacity. And when I asked the city of Santa Rosa, hey, do you want this in ohms? Do you want this in volts? Do you want this in amps? Like, how do you want this seen? Because I've never been asked for an electrical load, um, capacity calculation before. I can do it, but I've never been asked before to get an electrical permit approved. Okay, I think everybody can figure out it's got enough load, but they made me do that. So you will be surprised what some of these cities and counties make you do. Again, an ADU sub panel going up to a 200 amps house service, and they want me to submit uh, electrical load calculations to make sure that the main service has enough power. It's got enough juice, baby. Don't worry about it. Um, but then after you submit, stuff like that, right? We submitted without an electrical load calculation. If they don't see anything that they need, if they're looking for something and they don't see it, they will do red line comments and stuff. Or if they see something in the design that doesn't meet code, doesn't meet a requirement that they want, what they will do is they will red comment it. So that's what usually in the old days they used to comment it with red ink and stuff on the plans. They don't really do that anymore. It's all PDFs and stuff like that now. But you will see comments from the city for changes. And if that happens, you do the changes and then you resubmit. And then pretty much 9 times out of 10, you're just approved right after that. So that is pretty much it, right? Get that together, submit that, any comments, change that, get that resubmitted, and then you're off to approval of your permit. Once all plans are approved, the permit's issued, okay? So some jurisdictions I can go in, and because I've done a lot of work with them and stuff, and I know a lot of them now, and I know all the information they need, a lot of permits sometimes I can get same day, which is actually kind of incredible because usually, an ADU permit or something, even at the fastest, it's going to take a week, a month, whatever. But sometimes I can convince the plan checker, especially in Sausalito, to just check it while I'm there. I go have a coffee for an hour or two. I come back and I get my permit. They are very good, especially in Sausalito. So once you get your permit and you're ready to start, post your permit to the front of the job site, visible from the street and everything. Okay, it needs to be visible. You also don't want neighbors not seeing it and then seeing you're doing construction and complaining about you or whatever. Just be pretty much your goal is to do everything by the book as well as possible so that nobody ever knows your name, right? You want them to know your name for a right reason as a contractor. You don't want them to know you for complaints. So just keep up on it, post it, and do the right thing. It's all you can do. And then once that happens, work can begin, and you're off to the races. Okay. Now the inspection schedules are just like I was saying in the beginning. It depends by city, county by county. Okay, it depends how many inspectors are employed. It depends if the inspectors care about their jobs. It depends on a lot of things. Okay, so pretty much your first call for inspection for foundation, whether that be footings or just the slab in general. Once you call and you kind of figure out what their schedule is like, sometimes I get them next day. Sometimes they only do inspections on Thursdays and Fridays. Sometimes they're 2 weeks out. Sometimes they're 3 weeks out. Sometimes they're a month out. Sometimes it's a small, like Cloverdale is such a small, like tight knit city thing. They only do inspections, I think, Thursdays and Fridays or something like that. I forget. But you call the lady directly. I mean, you can get the guy's number. You could call him. You could be like, "Hey, dude, would you just come over at lunch or something?" And he'd come over and check it out and then sign you off. Blah blah blah. And when I was in San Francisco, once you got in with those guys, you just gave them a call on their personal phone number and just say, "Hey, I need an inspection." And so it depends how tight knit your contractor is. A lot of factors, but that will slow down your job. Is these inspections, okay? Now, on top of that is third-party inspections. If you have requirements, like up here, we're required any structural concrete that's supposed to be above 2,500 psi is supposed to have pressure testing. So you fill up these cylinders while you're doing the concrete pour, and then they take it to a lab. They put it in a press, and it shows them the psi at which it cracks. Now you have to have that psi at above 2,500. And if that is the case, then up here you need to have a third-party special inspection. They also inspect the rebar, stuff like that. When you're doing epoxy bolts, which usually is not new construction of this nature, they do pull tests. Third-party inspectors, they do a lot of stuff. So if you have third-party inspectors, that's another inspection company that you have to line up with the city and county and make sure your third-party inspections are done before the city and county inspections, because the reason why these cities and counties are requiring these third party inspections is because of liability. So if they come to a job site and they sign off before the third party inspector, but the third party inspector doesn't sign off, that looks really bad on the city. And if something happens in the future, the city can point the finger at the third party inspector. Look, he signed off before me. It was clear. I didn't see anything. He was there before me. He should have caught it. Pointing fingers, pointing fingers, pointing fingers. So just remember that. The government, when it comes to that stuff, is not your friend. Okay? They're doing it for their liability. So line up your third party inspector before, get that all passed, and then come to the city and county, have them inspect, and most likely inspection will go very, very fast since they see that a third party inspector has already signed off. And then once you go through your thing, so you're going to go through foundation inspection, framing inspection, dry-in inspection, and then insulation, rough electrical, utilities, HVAC, anything running in there, inspection, insulation, inspection, drywall, boom, put that up. And pretty much usually they don't inspect the screws or anything like that. Some cities do, but I haven't had that happen to me since I was like a young kid, dude. I swear to God, I haven't seen anybody inspect sheetrock screws for 20 years, and I'm 29, so hasn't happened for a long time. But anyways, um, once drywall's up, you guys are pretty much ready to finish, and they're going to be back for a final. So they're going to check all the electricals grounded. They're going to, check that there's just no problems. That what's on the plan is what was built. Nothing's been changed. Nothing shady's going on. And then they come in, sign you off, and if it is an ADU, they will also get you your certificate of occupancy. So that means that it's safe to live, it's livable. The city has inspected it, and you can either rent it, live in it, give it to your grandma, give it to your kids. You could just let it sit there and stare at it because you like it. Whatever you want to do, it is ready to go, and you can fully use it. So there's a list of inspections there, right? So like this inspection list may change. It depends how involved they want to be with the inspections. Depends how big the project is, stuff like that. And then also they'll do multiple inspections in one visit, right? So like the roof nailing inspection, the sheeting inspection, the framing, all the structural bolt inspections. They'll just do all those in one meeting, and it's pretty much just one inspection, right? So you probably have 3 to 5 total visits from the city during this entire project, and that's pretty much about it. That is, once you get final inspection, you're good to go, and enjoy your space. So that, again, this is a lot of info. I know I went here for like 20 minutes, and I am a rambler, but there's a lot of little extra stuff that goes into this permitting process. And it seems very simple and everything, but to be honest, the permitting process is more of a pain than building. Okay, I I love showing up and building every day. But dude, when I got to get plans together and permits together and I got to go meet with the city and everything, it is a draining day. I will tell you that. It's gotten a little bit easier with technology, but you have to understand the building departments are still of older peoples. They are still very old school. They're not that they're not technology tech savvy, right? Because a lot of them do figure out the systems, no problem. But they don't like to use the tech. They like to see you in person. They like to meet you. They like to talk. Okay, these are older guys usually, and even if they're not older guys, usually guys from some type of backgrounds in the trades, and that's how we are. We really like it physically in front of us, and I'm telling you, that's why I like to go in person a lot. But again, it's a problem that people put a little too much emphasis in. They get a little scared approaching the city, the county. It's nothing to fear. It's a very easy process, and we get it done every day. So we can figure out your project too. But I hope this gave you guys some information. Again, I know a lot of rambling, all that stuff, but hopefully you guys picked up some nuggets and helps you out a bit. And I'll see you in the next video.